Whisker the cat loved adventure. He lived in the Whispering Woods, a magical place full of surprises. One day, Whisker spotted a shimmering butterfly. Curious, he chased it. The butterfly fluttered through the trees. Whisker followed, eager to see where it would go. The chase led him deeper into the woods. He had never been this far before. Everything seemed new and exciting. The air buzzed with the sounds of hidden creatures. Whisker smiled. This was a day for adventure. Waddle the duck was a homebody. He liked the familiar comforts of his pond by the whispering waterfall. He enjoyed the sound of rushing water. He liked watching the dragonflies dance in the sun. Today was a perfect day for relaxing. Suddenly, Waddle heard a rustle in the bushes. He quickly ducked behind a rock, his heart pounding. He peeked out cautiously. A shadow darted past, moving quickly. Waddle hoped it wasn't trouble. He preferred peace and quiet. Whisker, still chasing the butterfly, reached a clearing. In the center was a beautiful pond. The butterfly flew over the water and disappeared. Whisker, tired from the chase, decided to rest. He didn't notice the duck hiding behind a rock. Suddenly, Whisker felt a rush of water splash his face. He shook his head, surprised. He looked around, trying to find the source of the splash. He saw Waddle peeking at him from behind the rock. Waddle was just as surprised, his feathers ruffled. "Did you splash me?" Whisker asked, shaking the water from his fur. Waddle came out from behind the rock. I'm sorry, I thought you were something scary." Whisker chuckled. "I'm just Whisker the cat. What's your name?" "I'm Waddle," the duck replied shyly. Whisker, always the adventurer, noticed something sparkling at the bottom of the pond. "Look," he exclaimed, "I think it's treasure." Waddle, cautious as always, warned, "It might be dangerous. We should leave it alone." Whisker's curiosity got the better of him. He had always been an adventurous cat, always looking for the next big discovery. Today was no different. The mysterious sounds coming from the cave had piqued his interest, and he couldn't resist the urge to explore. He carefully dipped a paw into the cool water, feeling the gentle ripples against his fur. The water was crystal clear, reflecting the shimmering light from above. He could see small fish darting around, adding to the allure of the pond. It was deeper than he thought. The bottom seemed to stretch endlessly, and he could barely make out the shapes of rocks and plants far below. This only fueled his determination to uncover the secrets hidden within. He couldn't reach the shiny object that glimmered enticingly at the bottom. No matter how much he stretched or how far he leaned, it remained just out of his grasp. Frustration began to set in, but he wasn't ready to give up just yet. "We need to go further in," he declared, with a determined glint in his eye. He knew that the only way to uncover the mystery was to venture deeper into the cave, no matter what challenges lay ahead. Waddle, nervously wringing his wings, said, "But there might be creatures in there." His voice trembled with fear, and his eyes darted around, imagining all sorts of dangers lurking in the shadows. Whisker noticed a small cave hidden behind the waterfall. The cascading water created a mesmerizing curtain, and behind it, the entrance to the cave beckoned them. It was almost as if the cave itself was calling out to them, urging them to uncover its secrets. "Maybe the treasure is in there," he meowed excitedly. His heart raced with anticipation, and his mind filled with images of glittering jewels and ancient artifacts waiting to be discovered. Waddle, not wanting to be left alone, reluctantly followed Whisker. He took a deep breath and tried to steady his nerves, knowing that he couldn't let his friend go in alone. Together they would face whatever lay ahead. The cave echoed with every step. The sound of their footsteps bounced off the walls, creating an eerie symphony that filled the cavern. It was as if the cave itself was alive, whispering secrets and stories from ages past. Waddle, scared, stayed close to Whisker. He could feel his heart pounding in his chest, but he knew that as long as he stayed by Whisker's side, they could face anything together. The adventure had only just begun, and the Cave of Echoes held many more mysteries waiting to be uncovered. The cave floor was muddy and slippery, making every step a challenge. The walls glistened with moisture, and the air was thick with the scent of damp earth. It was a treacherous path, one that required careful navigation. Waddle, not used to such terrain, slipped and slid uncontrollably. His feet struggled to find purchase on the slick surface, and he flailed his arms in a desperate attempt to stay upright. Each slip sent him closer to the ground, and each slide made him more anxious. Whisker, nimble on his paws, reached out to steady him. "Careful!" he warned, his voice echoing slightly in the cavern. He'd always been the more agile of the two, and his quick reflexes were a lifesaver in this sticky situation. He pulled Waddle back to his feet, ensuring he had a firm grip before letting go. Waddle, grateful for the help, nodded his thanks. His heart was pounding from the near fall, and he took a moment to steady his breathing. "Thanks, Whisker," he said, his voice a bit shaky. He knew he had to be more careful if they were to make it through this cave unscathed. Deeper inside, they found a chest, half buried in the mud. It was old and covered in grime, but the ornate carvings hinted at the treasures it might hold. The sight of the chest filled them with renewed determination. This was what they had been searching for. This had to be where the treasure was. The excitement was palpable as they imagined the riches that lay within. They exchanged a look of triumph, knowing that their hard journey was about to pay off. Whisker tried to pull it open, but it was stuck. The lid wouldn't budge, no matter how hard he pulled. He grunted with effort, his paws slipping on the muddy surface of the chest. It was as if the chest itself was resisting their attempts to open it. "Help me push, Waddle," he urged, his voice strained. He knew they needed to work together if they were to succeed. The chest was heavy, and the mud made it even more difficult to handle. They had to combine their strength. Waddle, gathering his courage, put his back into it. He planted his feet firmly in the mud and pushed with all his might. His muscles strained and his face contorted with effort, but he was determined not to let Whisker down. Together they pushed and heaved until the chest creaked open. The sound of the lid giving way was music to their ears. Inside they saw the glint of gold and jewels, a treasure beyond their wildest dreams. Their hard work had finally paid off, and they couldn't help but smile in triumph. Inside the chest they didn't find gold or jewels. There were no sparkling diamonds or ancient coins, no crowns or scepters. Instead, what lay before them was something entirely unexpected. Instead, they found a pile of smooth, colourful stones. Each stone was unique, with swirls of vibrant colours that seemed to dance in the light. They were unlike anything Whisker and Waddle had ever seen before. They shimmered in the dim light, even prettier than the treasure they imagined. The stones seemed to hold a magic of their own, casting a gentle glow that filled the room with warmth and wonder. Whisker and Waddle looked at each other and burst into laughter. It was a laughter filled with relief and joy, a laughter that echoed through the forest. They realized that the true treasure was not what they had found, but the journey they had shared. They had faced their fears together and learned something valuable. Friendship was more precious than any treasure. The stones were beautiful, but the bond they had formed was priceless. From that day on, Whisker the curious cat and Waddle the cautious duck became the best of friends. They spent their days exploring the Whispering Woods, discovering new wonders and sharing countless adventures, always ready for new adventures in the Whispering Woods. They knew that no matter what they found, the greatest treasure of all was their friendship, and so, with hearts full of joy and eyes full of wonder, they continued their journey hand in paw, ready to face whatever came their way.